So you're a accomplished musician, jazz educator, and you listen to a ton of music. I'm sure people are interested in hearing, what are your top 3 albums, sort of desert island albums, or, top 1 or 5 or however many you want to do, and it don't even have to be jazz, but, what are your, what do you turn to, or maybe what are you turning to lately? Whatever you want to do, but, top 3 albums for Jared.
Well, it's interesting. It's such a hard question because it might change in an hour. But the 3 that I jotted down were maybe because it's on my mind, but it's Stevie Wonder's Intervisions. What a profound record. He just turned 70 last week. My God, that guy is amazing. I've seen him 4 times live. I appreciate him because he really is a jazz musician. I saw him in Connecticut once, and it was one of the better shows. It was the second time I saw him. He played Coltrane's Giant Steps on a grand piano. And, the audience wasn't into it. The first time I saw him, it was in Boston. Everybody was singing along. People sang so much, he told everybody to kind of try to be quiet because he couldn't hear himself. It was such a great show. And he hadn't toured for a while. And then I went to Connecticut. I saw him at a casino. What a terrible place to see music. Nobody was into it, but he kicked off Giant Steps. I think he surprised the band, and he just shredded the piano. Man, he was so good. I saw him in New Orleans Jazz Fest, and that was pretty cool too. Man, the guy's a master of voices. I'm really seriously digressing, but I really love Stevie. I really, really love him. But the other two records I have to choose would be Coltrane's Love Supreme, because and that's a record that really transcends into listeners of people who don't know much about jazz. They really connect with Coltrane's Love Supreme. And what was that, 1965? That he had a real bond on that record with the guys in the band. Kind of traveled across the country in a station wagon. Elvin Jones is on drums, and Jimmy Garrison on bass, and McCoy Tyner, who just passed away, on piano. And Coltrane and McCoy Tyner had a real sound together, and really, really, really amazing record. I love Love Supreme. And what's really interesting about Love Supreme is that 4th movement of it. He basically plays a poem through the saxophone. And I think is really interesting about that is that's what they did in like the 14th century when music started. Was literally the poets were the composers, and it's like this thing. Everybody's like, what is he doing? It's like this slow thing where he's just kind of playing out of time. It's what people did a thousand years ago. It's so interesting.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I was going to say about that album is that it is such a so in certain parts, especially, it's such a lyrical album.
It really is. Yeah, it's kind of like there are people that have done remakes. Like I know Branford Marsalis has done it. Other people, and it just seems kind of it's like rewriting a book of the Bible or something. It's just like you can't do that. Yeah. There's just some things you kind of have to let go. And then I have to pick a real obscure one, or more obscure, that I always go back to. It's a Wynton Kelly trio featuring Joe Henderson. It's a record called 4, which is a live record, and it's Wynton Kelly trio, which is basically the guys that play with Miles Davis. So if you took Miles Davis's rhythm section and put it with Joe Henderson, I love Joe Henderson. My God, I love Joe Henderson, and a big open-minded guy. Who he played things that were funky. He literally funk music, but jazz, small ensembles. He did a big band record. He did everything. He's a brilliant player, and so I have to include that. Never get tired of that record.
Sure. Well, I mean, those are 3 monsters, right? Stevie Wonder, Coltrane, and Joe Henderson. So yeah, you can't go wrong with that. That's great.
I know, but no Miles Davis. Come on.
Well, you are a saxophone player, so.
Yeah, that's true. And every saxophone player that Miles ever played with was just beastly amazing. Like Miles, I think Ted Joy might mention in that book, it's like he had a foil always. Like he would get out there and play romantic and quiet, soft and melodic, and then there would be some other person out of there that, you know, drop bombs on people.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Fireworks.
Cool.